my ex-husband tried to fight my mother in her own house. So after I burst his head with a rock on Valentine's Day, I call my mother and let her know what happens, and she tells me to come to her house because she rather an alive child than a dead child. So 3 days after I burst his head, he comes home and sees me packing. However, he did not realize that I was going to leave and never come back. He was so convinced that I was going to come back that he even helped me pack and took me to my mother's house. But the only joke was on him, because after I left and I went to my mother's house, the very next day, I got up, I left my kids with my mother, and I went to the police station, made a report, and asked the police how to file for a divorce. I didn't know how to do that. I go the very same day and file a petition in the court to get a divorce. But of course the story doesn't end there, else I wouldn't be here talking to you all. After this man gets the petition for divorce, I guess he realizes that, hey, this is the end, she gonna leave me and I don't have a punching bag. He decides to come to my mother's house. At home, my entire family is sitting down watching TV, everybody's laughing and giggling, kiki kaka, my mother is playing with my children, all of the things, right? And all of a sudden, we hear a knock on the door. Boom, 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 boom. Like if police banging on the door. So my mother was like, what the hell going on? Who is that? My sister trying to peek out the window to see who the hell it is in the dark, because we want to know who banging on the door like that. So mommy look out the window and see that the same man told them, come inside and stop banging dog my door like you's the police. She opens the door and lets him in. He fuming mad because he just get divorce papers and he don't want to get divorced. He's standing by the doorway while trying to yell at me. So my mom turned at him and was like, excuse, you can't be talking to my daughter so in my place. He starts to give my mother an attitude and tells my mother, I could talk to her however I want. That is my wife. My mother looks at him and say, well, hear what? That my child, and you can't talk to she like that in my house. Well, y'all, if stupid was a person, it would be him. He decides he don't like how my mother's talking to him and decided to grand charge my mother and try to fight her in her own house. Of course, my mother's a crazy person and she ain't taking that from nobody. She don't care who he is. So she decides to shove him out the door and he tumbled down the stairs. While he tumbling down the stairs, mommy decides to go inside and get a jersey and put it on because all she had on was a half a slip up to her boob and she wasn't wearing clothes to go outside. She puts on the clothes and goes through the front door and he's in the yard yelling and cursing at my mother. And my mother lets him know, you can't cuss me on my property. I don't know if this man is a glutton for punishment or he just like big stone, but my mother started to stone this boy down. He in the middle of the street skipping as my mother threw big stone after him. The neighbors in the area hear the commotion and a lot of the guys in the neighborhood decide, hey, let's go see what's going on with moms because she don't really act like that most days. At least 6 of the fellas in the neighborhood come rushing to my mother's house because they want to know what's going on. They hear my mother screaming and it's like after 10 in the night. When they come, it's because they realize my mother is stoning down some man in the road with big stone and trying to get him out of the neighborhood. So they get my mother's attention and try to find out what's going on. And she explains to them what is really happening. One of the guys walk up to my ex-husband, holds him on his shoulder and let him know, you need to leave this neighborhood now. And if you ever even come near the street, I assure you, nobody will ever see you again. That man just turned around with his tail between his legs, walked down the street and never, to this day, ever show his face in my mother's neighborhood again. But that didn't mean he didn't try to torture me after that. So y'all will have to wait for the next one.